What is that? Creation currency is vibrational wealth. Art is a key element in the Great Awakening toward the actualization and ascension of humanity. Art is directly related to creativity. When we connect with our souls and start envisioning and creating humanity's positive evolution, our adversaries are well aware that manifestation follows close behind. They have in place many measures to stop us, for they know the awakening to our divine creative abilities spells their inevitable doom. Human creativity is the most valuable element on earth. It has been heavily mined from the apex of the pyramid for millennia. So too have humans, but we're not going to go into that right now. Those who reside in the upper echelons of this Babylonian pyramid model do not want you to know this. They would rather you claim gold and platinum as more valuable, for once you know this, their cover is blown. Once you understand what creation currency really is, they are doomed. Unless our creativity can be used in some way to further their agenda, rogue artists are not welcome. They are at once discarded and ignored by the global conglomerate media system. Owns, all the magazines, every single thing you can imagine, under the banner of just 6 companies. So, how have they kept this creation currency a secret for so long? It all starts with art. Most people will skip past anything with the subject matter of art in the title, as its importance has been deliberately downplayed, obfuscated, and hidden in order to minimize humanity's creative output. The reason those who control humanity do not want uncontrollable creatives in their midst is because creative types will use their imaginations to escape the very control mechanisms that have been established. Once free, you pesky creatives will design a world of your own with no limitations. All enforced restrictions would be replaced by creative solutions to problems and bring overall enhancements to all facets of life. Controllers, by definition, need to create problems so they can impose their own solutions, which, as we've seen over time, have shown to become exponentially restrictive. Creativity and freedom of expression have become a revolutionary act in these times and are at the core of the greatest threat to self-appointed oligarchs. Have you ever wondered why the strangest paintings sell for millions? They set these weird standards for what great art is. In order to confuse us, they promote anyone willing to go along with their narrative as to what art is. They define art for us when we should be defining it for ourselves. Most people are too afraid to even comment on art, as the commentary has been reserved for expert jurors. We are taught that when an artist renders realistically, then that is a high standard for artistic stealth. Sadly, most of us stop there in our assessment of art. We are taught also to follow artistic trends and styles, as in the fashion world. All measures of what great art is, as defined by the so-called experts, are superficial and about as deep as a baby's bathtub. This is on purpose and perpetuates the battle of envisioned futures financed by the currency of creation versus the peddlers of an inferior criminal fiscal system of usury. Through our creative genius, humans are able to grasp, envisage, and share concepts of cosmic proportions, which is a grave threat to the establishment. All of the titles I'm going to read now are threats to the status quo. They are titles of my paintings, and I am well aware that my work is not welcome in the hall of academia and lower learning. So some of my paintings that envisage the future are listening to organic intelligence, leaving time, transitioning toward sovereignty, rearranging the space-time continuum toward humanity's positive timeline, ascension, chanting destiny, stairway to higher dimensions, connecting to cosmos, and creating from soul. So you get the idea. We have been taught that art can be either a visual, a sculpture, or an installation. And the arts include song, dance, theatre, and a myriad of other human expressive media and modes. The act of being creative has been divided up in order to conquer it. Redundant and reused art genres keep art in a box with the lid on tight. When we are offered reruns of Cinderella and Les Miserables as if they were freshly minted stories, and poorly rendered abstract art, highly acclaimed and worth 10 times the price of our house, it is no wonder that we are tiring of the arts. People often hesitantly declare themselves an artist, though proudly a craftsperson or hobbyist, or not an artist at all, can't even draw a stick figure type of person. So tainted have the arts become. We are witness to a massive decline even in the department of basic artisan skills, trades, and husbandry, in an economic climate where they are so needed now. This is all designed to move us into the age of robotics and artificial intelligence, which also, by the way, is now capable of creating artwork. The attempt to remove art and hands-on artistry is well underway to circumvent creation currency from ever dominating the market of ideas. What we are not told about art is that it is inherently related to creativity. Creativity is connected to imagination, and all of creation is made manifest through thought. Thought precedes even the word. From thought, all things are possible. This is why the controllers at the helm of academia and their heavily armed think tank army don't want you to know the true purpose of art and the untold wealth of joy that the ability to be creative brings into our lives. For now, we will stick with art as the catalyst for great and wonderful changes unfolding in the world today. Yet it does appear from the news that all is not rosy, but we hold the power to change all that. Art has been isolated and separated from all other studies by design. When artistry and creativity are inserted into all elements of life, it adds a richness that has been long absent. When creativity is used as holistic glue and infused into all disciplines, it enlivens even the most boring of subjects. To create an aesthetically pleasing piece of art requires many of the same elements that are alchemized by actual creation forces themselves. After the genesis of conception, one must consider the introduction of light, shadow, color, composition, proportion, anatomy, perspective, environment, subject matter, sacred geometry, and how it will all work together, and how to best convey this visual message to the beholder. Above and beyond that, the creator must also master the tools that create the image, albeit the basic rules of art being very simple: considering the mighty tasks they can facilitate, such as the ability to allow the artist to render creations beyond the two-dimensional plane visually and into ever higher dimensions conceptually. Considering these aspects alone elevates the act of creating art as significant. Yet it is what occurs during the actual process of composing the art that is so profound. First off, I wish to discount formulaic and other methods that divert from the true process of creating art here. Formulaic means when the general effect and outcome is known by the very methodology that is enacted, such as paint pouring and chain pulling effects that proliferate on social media. They are beautiful, yet they rely on random liquid effects rather than the soul of the artist to permeate the art. Also, acts of creating art without learning the basics of art can sometimes yield surprisingly interesting results. Yet this method, though prone to haphazard results, does serve to provide a learning exercise in artistry. The act of copying is also not counted as creating from a higher plane here, although one may at times need to reference specific images. And then there are those art classes where everybody in the whole class brings some wine and copies a painting that's up at the front of the room. Those are not art classes, and those people are not creating from soul. Real art happens when the heart, hand, and subconscious work together as one with the cosmos to compose an entirely unique portrayal revealing the original essence of one's soul. The results are usually phenomenal compared to the contrived efforts to mimic established genres. The artist is so engaged that they are unaware of time and exist only in the now of their creation. This is a rare skill, for as the artist makes their way from past at the start of the piece to the future, which is the completion of the piece, while being and creating in the now, so too must the artist hold all skills they have learned, such as light, shadow, composition, color, etc., in their head at the same time whilst they work. Every brushstroke made must take into consideration the overall result of the creation. This includes factoring in texture, ambiance, emotion, and all of those things. There is no music sheet or blueprint for this. Since the outcome variables are infinite, the artist must constantly select and eliminate options from all the elements they use and utilize in the making of their art with a skill that supersedes the speed of light. Another magical element that occurs naturally is the deviation from the known basics of art on purpose as the soul demands in its expression. This is only possible once one has studied the basic rules of art intimately. So let's dissect a few areas of study in order to compare them to the subject of art and why art is so important. Most disciplines, such as architecture, do not require the on-the-spot decision-making that art does, as the materials are predetermined and the result is produced from a blueprint. However, all principles used in creating art can be applied to conceptualizing an architectural vision and enhance it enormously. Studying history or geography does not require these skills. Neither does mathematics, no matter the infinite nature of numbers and calculations themselves. Writing is a boundless study that can come very close to the act of creating visual images and otherworldly concepts for the reader. Yet it is still bound by words and spells. Writing is also confined to the language learned, whilst art is a universal language. Although biology can be an infinite subject, it too is compartmentalized into topics that are learned by rote. Music, like art, is also a very powerful way to connect to higher planes. Sadly, the art of music has been derailed from its true purpose by the introduction of a less harmonious scale introduced worldwide in the 1930s. It was weaponized from the 432 healing frequency and replaced by the 440 frequency, which is a negative, distorted frequency. Music has also been commercially usurped to convey subliminal and obvious sexual, violent, and materialistic undertones to the masses. Music is another very big topic, closely aligned with art and creativity, but a little too much to cover in depth here right now. Science is an infinite realm, but within the hallowed halls, in quotes, of academia, the sciences, we are told, are settled, and boundaries have been thrown up like walls to keep us from evolving into our awaiting quantum future. Imagine what extraordinary phenomena could be unleashed with the merging of creativity and science by applying the processes of the artist's protocols explained above. As soon as people realize that they are born creative geniuses, this will ignite an unstoppable frenzy of positive application toward our positive evolution that will make the Renaissance look like a square wheel. As we clearly see now, the indoctrination methods and untruths infused into education systems have served a hidden agenda for the sinister long-term goal of full-spectrum domination. Education across the board has been infiltrated with the specific intent to cause confusion and ignorance. It is being used as a tool against humanity, that we may never reach enlightenment. One small example of this would be the teaching of sex education to very young and still innocent children, which keeps them imprisoned in their lower chakras. Have you noticed, too, that it is always the arts that are the first to go when the budget is getting cut, as if they are an unnecessary indulgence? This is no coincidence. Remember, creative currency must be kept hidden. Now I am going to reveal the biggest reason that visual art in particular has been downplayed across the board in education specifically. Quite simply put, when one's creative neurons are kept agile through art, the caliber of creative prowess learned in art classes can be applied to all endeavors. Humanity's path to enlightenment will require us to have a fully integrated brain. Practicing art facilitates this process of merging the left and right brain. The two sides of the brain work together by pulling order from the left brain and creativity from the right, thereby assembling the practical and the imaginary elements into a seamless operational manifestation. If one is indeed a great artist in the soulful way as expressed, one has learned how to use certain materials available and alchemize them into their highest potential. For example, when preparing a meal, you select foods that complement each other, that are healthy. You maybe cut them stylishly. You are attentive to the time it takes to cook the food right, while factoring in its presentation too, its flavor marriages, and you make sure all is served at the right temperature. So when one is grounded in the basics of art, one will also probably be an exceptional gardener as knowledge of color, contrast, texture, etc. is applied to the garden. These are obvious examples, but the examples are endless. The way you dress, the events you organize, the science project you present, the book you write, the journey you embark upon, the vision you dreamed, all are greatly enhanced by the simple act of knowing and applying the basics of art. Utilizing creative currency is priceless. As a result of knowing the basics of art, which teaches you how to mimic nature's creation methods, you have now amassed over time and with practice the ability to enhance any project envisioned by implementing the process of inclusion and rejection, by exercising the potency of your creative neurons to apply to any challenge, to discover solutions, to invent anything, to harness energies that could free humanity from hard labor, to annihilate disease, to purify our planet of poisons, to create no less than heaven on earth. These are the best case scenarios regarding just the simple study of art. Yet who knows what you could be capable of if you added ever more organic human enhancements of your choice to the mix. Your creative currency could become cosmic. As we move into the age of enlightenment, only the endeavors of the highest vibrations will survive. The dark energy of bleak renditions of suffering, minimalism, and other boxed genres, along with satanic works, once heralded by art connoisseurs and exhibited at art institutes across the world, will not survive the Great Awakening. People will start finally seeing art for what it really is. We will no longer tolerate being told which art standards to adhere to by experts. The dichotomy of the famous artist and the starving artist will no longer exist, as we will all be artists in our own right, applying the inherent creativity we were born with into everything we touch. Artistry will find a way to weave itself into the fabric of our existence. But first we must make sure that our artistic skills are brought to fruition and applied. The fundamental basic rules of art must be taught to every child as a matter of course, and they may bring forth the skills humanity needs when the shift from madness and destruction moves into sanity and creation. Knowing the true power of art is the key to unlocking our connections to the multiverse. Being in creation mode links us to the all that is. It opens our minds to endless possibilities regarding life forms and living systems beyond ours. The overlords of this planet would like us to remain in a trance state, where we believe that this is all there is, and if we follow their rules, we will be safe. The act of creation can be a natural transcendental experience. This is how powerful art is. This is why we are taught that art is nothing special and is associated with starving and madness, and only by using your artistic capabilities commercially will you thrive. These unelected manipulator species do not want humans to remember our own divine power. When one creates, one sits at the right hand of Prime Creator, inches from the very God that is their enemy. We are inspired by this powerful creation model from Source, rather than the destruction we see in our daily life at every level, inserted by those who do not have our best interests in mind. Your allegiance is at once one with the Creator of all things, rather than these little God wannabes that seek to harvest your creative currency. We will not allow their diktat heat gun to continue to fire at us until our creativity becomes a dried-out raisin, void of original thought. In their transhumanist dreams, humans are all robotized for maximum control. Can you believe that a grand infusion of creativity via the study of the true purpose of art could change all this? You bet it can. Your boldness of vision counts. The old world is failing. Step up now and start envisaging your life force in action in this new world emerging. Heralded by the heavens themselves, Aquarius is ready to pour you into the golden age. Art has a prominent place in this evolutionary time. Don't let anyone persuade you otherwise. Creation currency is the vibrational wealth that will spiritually finance this realm into the paradise that we seek to create.